Hello guys and gals and welcome! So I finally decided to make a Season 1 prep guide. I know I've been lazy. I got a bunch of other things on the docket right now, so I wasn't really sure if I was actually going to do this or not, but I went ahead and put one together for you guys, and I think it's pretty well put together. I'm not going to do those crazy ones, though, that the other YouTubers like to do, which is where they give you like a blow-by-blow of like, go here, click on this, do this event, walk 5 feet this way, click on this objective point, go down here, click on this. I'm not gonna do that. That's just like too trip planner from like some sort of old 80s movie. Instead, I've got for you a Season 1 prep guide here, which is pretty easy. There's really not a whole lot to it. And I'll probably copy it down in the description of the video as well for you guys so that you'll have it. However, I'm going to start out with the video with this, which is the Season of Malignant is coming. This pops up when you log into the game now. And I had to take a screenshot of it because it only appears once. It says, a most vile evil will begin to affect Sanctuary on July 20th. To have a smooth transition into the Season of Malignant, there are a few things we recommend that you do in advance on your most progressed Eternal Realm character. Complete the campaign. You must have completed the campaign on either Eternal Realm or Seasonal Realm, with at least one character to have access to seasonal content. Uncover all the Sanctuary on your map and unlock all the Altars of Lilith. The new character you make on Season Realm for the Season of the Malignant will begin with all the previously discovered areas of the map, revealed in all the previously unlocked altars, and the corresponding renown for them. Most importantly, we urge that you log into Diablo 4 with your most progressed Eternal Realm character after patch 1.10 releases on July 18th. And this is, of course, because your most progressed character is going to transfer that progress to all your other characters. Now, my guide is actually right here. Let's go over this together, shall we? Yes, I know. Very fancy notepad. So, Season 1 Prep Guide. Let's go over everything together. First off, and most importantly, before anything else, pay attention to the season journey. The season journey is going to have some very valuable and build-changing rewards in it, like things like XP buffs and also aspects that you can obtain. And these new codex entries and aspects are going to be absolutely powerful. Some of them are things like the frickin' Poison Creeper on the Druid literally now casts Landslide in a circle around himself when you cast the ability, which is just absolutely insane, and I plan on using that. If you take a look at the season journey rewards, you might find something in there that could change the way that you want to build your character. And, don't sleep on these. Also, the experience points buffs that are going to be coming from the free battle pass, not the paid battle pass, the free battle pass that you have to spend the points on. You got to make sure that you actually go activate those. So once you get access to those buffs, you're going to want to use them. Now, the first thing that you're going to do is you're going to pick a leveling build. So not an endgame build. Do not confuse this with an endgame build. This is not an endgame build. This is a leveling build. And why are my ponytails sticking up so much? It looks like I was a samurai warrior. Leveling builds are builds that are excessively good at leveling characters even from a low point with relatively poor equipment, and it's very important to point this out because these may not be necessarily the builds that you choose at the end of the game, but they are builds that are very easy to level with. For Sorceress, the Chain Lightning, Firewall, Ice Shards, and Arc Lash seem to be the best for leveling up. The Necromancer, the Bone Spear, Blight, Corpse Explosion, and Sever seem to be pretty good. Rogue is Twisting Blades, Barrage, Flurry, and Penetrating Shot. These are all very good for leveling up on the Rogue early on. Barbarian is Rend and Hota. Rend and Hota are extremely good early on, and I actually kind of prefer Rend, in my opinion. But I have seen some pretty awesome Hota Barbarians. Although Hota does require a lot of maximum fury equipment, so Rend might be the winner here. Druid, the companion Druid, is actually pretty OP early on, especially the Poison Creeper specifically. Don't sleep on the Poison Creeper. Like, I don't care what build you pick. Like, the Poison Creeper is just dumb, stupid OP early on. And, yeah, he falls off at the end game, and I would never recommend that you build a full Companion Druid to the end game. But in the early game, the friggin' Poison Creeper is nuts. And on top of that, the Ravens are actually pretty good, too, with their permanent vulnerability uptime, if you build it correctly. Tornado Druid is very good. Pulverize and Shred. I had a lot of fun with my Toxic Shred Druid. Although I think Shred is one of the ones that's kind of, like, dependent on a lot of aspects to get things running. Now, I will remind everyone that the patch on the 18th may change a lot of this. So there may be balance changes. There may be all sorts of stuff going on that can change the way that this particular stuff works. And, I will have a patch video out. So on the 18th, join me on live stream. I will literally be testing all this stuff. We will go over the patch notes. We will log into the game. We will check this stuff out, and we'll see what's going on and how things have changed on the 18th, so that you can stay up to date and know exactly what's going on. 1 to 47 is pretty much Stronghold farming. So Strongholds are pretty good EXP. You can also get some pretty good items in the Strongholds as well. And for the most part, Onyx Watchtower is one of the better ones for items, whereas Alcarnus and Dragan are pretty good for EXP. And basically what you do is you just don't complete them. So if you don't complete them, there's a myriad of ways that you can reset them. You can log out and log back in, and they'll be reset. You can transfer leaders. You can just cycle them, too, which also works. So instead of doing just Dragan or just Alcarnus, you can swap back and forth between them. And you can get better usefulness out of them. Eventually you are going to want to complete some of the strongholds specifically for renown reasons, or for specifically the dungeons that are associated with those strongholds. And by all means, go ahead and complete those. But these 3 in particular, you might want to hang on to specifically so that you can use those for farming purposes. Hit up any events on the way to your destinations. Don't be afraid to, min-max here when it comes to, like, what is on the way to your destination. If you're riding to Dragan and you pass through an event, stop and do the event. Like, those events are actually pretty good EXP, and they also give obols and other things that can be useful to your character in the long run. And there's no reason not to do these events and things that are easy to do along that path. There's also some quests and things like that that you might hit up along the way as well, because they line up with what you're doing. You don't necessarily have to do every single quest that you find, but if you pick up a quest and it happens to be on your destination, it's on your route anyway, then why not just go ahead and do it for the little bit of XP bonus that it confers. World Tier 1 is fine. If your group can reliably handle World Tier 2 with ease, then you can go with that. But generally, just do World Tier 1 for leveling. There's no real super benefit to going with World Tier 2, and the monsters are more difficult for very little reward in that regard. 47 to 59 is basically just Nightmare Dungeons. So when you grind the Nightmare Dungeons, you're going to just have some fun. Is just play with those World Tier 3 dungeons. It's not really that difficult to get to World Tier 3, to be honest with you. So, once you get to level 47, you're going to complete your World Tier 3 Capstone, which I forgot to write in here. So, 47 World Tier 3 Capstone. It shouldn't be that difficult to complete the World Tier 3 Capstone, to be honest. That one was not a pain in the butt. 47 to 59 is your Nightmare Dungeons, and then you're going to stop at 60. And the reason why you're going to stop at 60 is because you're going to go to town, you're going to make sure you got all your potion upgrades, and you're going to make your Royal Gems. Royal Gems is, you're going to get some pretty nice doojanks there for crafting up all your gems. Actually, I think, isn't Royal Gems 70? But you can equip them at 60. So if you have a friend who can hand you some Royal Gems, you can equip them at 60, but I don't think you can craft them till 70. I may have made a mistake there. A boo-boo. That's a boo-boo right there. That's what that is. Boo-boo. 60 to 67, more Nightmare Dungeon farming. You're going to basically run this until you can complete the World Tier 4 Capstone. So once you are capable of completing World Tier 4 Capstone, then why not? Don't struggle with it. Like, if you waste a lot of effort and time struggling with the World Tier 4 Capstone, then you're not going to have a good time. You should be able to complete it around level 67 with ease. If your group can do it earlier than that, then by all means, go ahead and do it earlier than that. However, do note that all the monsters in World Tier 4 are level 73. With the exception of Strongholds. So this is important. So if you get to World Tier 4 before, say, like, I don't know, level 67, let's just say at 60, like, and below, you can farm Strongholds in World Tier 4 because they scale down. So the monsters at World Tier 4 are level 73. They don't scale below that. But for some reason or another, the strongholds in World Tier 4 do scale lower than level 73, which means you can go back to your core Dragan, Onyx Watchtower, and Alcarnus farming. And why would you specifically want to do this? Well, ancestral items are level 60. And because ancestral items are level 60, getting into World Tier 4, even if it's just doing the strongholds, can potentially get you some ancestral items, which can boost your power level quite a bit and move you into World Tier 4 faster, which is definitely something that you're going to want. Don't forget to run Hell Tides. Hell Tides should not be slept on at all. In fact, pretty much every time Hell Tides are up, for the most part, you should probably go run them. And the reason why is because of crafting materials and gear. This is kind of something that I need to really hammer in. So Hell Tides give you Forgotten Souls, they give you Fiend Roses, they give you your Scattered Prisms, which lets you socket your equipment, they give you Veiled Crystals, they give you Iron Ore, Silver Ore, Leather, Superior Leather, Legendary items, and potentially Uniques. Hell Tides are one of the best ways to power up your character, pretty much bar none, and they will get you the crafting materials and things that you need to do what you want to do. If you only farm Nightmare Sigils, you are going to run into situations where you are going to run out of Veiled Crystals, you are going to run out of your Fiend Roses, you're going to run out of your Forgotten Souls, you're going to run out of Scattered Prisms, and it's not going to be a fun time when you're trying to upgrade your items and get everything set up, and you just don't have the materials that you need. So Hell Tides are very, very good for this because Hell Tides are absolutely amazing for getting you those crafting materials and the legendary aspects and things that you need. Speaking of upgrades, don't be afraid to upgrade your item 2 times. 2 times is really dirt cheap. Even if you're never going to use that item again, even if you're only going to use the item for like 30 minutes, even if you know for a fact you're going to throw it away, 2 upgrades is really, really cheap, and it's really, really easy to do. Okay, so 2 upgrades is really cheap and is a no-brainer, all right? Anything past 2 upgrades, then you're investing. That's like an investment at that point. I would even go so far as to say that 3 might be okay if you have a large number of Veiled Crystals, but anything past 3 is going to be an issue because you're going to start dipping into your Coiling Wards, your Abstruse Sigils, your your various rare crafting materials, and it's going to start pulling heavily from things like your Silver Ore, which you are going to have troubles with eventually. And speaking of Silver Ore, make sure you are clicking on the Iron nodes as you go around. Silver Ore and Iron Ore is one of the most difficult things to obtain in late game, and when you start re-rolling and upgrading and doing everything that you need to do, you're going to start running out of Iron and Silver Ore really quickly if you aren't picking it up. I know for a fact many of us in the kinship have had this issue, is that Iron and Silver Ore becomes one of the rarest things in the game for some reason, so make sure you're clicking on your Iron nodes. Make sure you're killing world bosses. Stop for world bosses. That's basically just free loot. There's no reason not to stop for the world bosses. Get your cash. Get your potential unique item. It just doesn't make any sense not to. Every time the world boss goes up, you should probably hop over there and clap his cheeks real quick and then go back to what you were doing. There's no reason to sit there for 30 minutes, though. Like, if the world boss is 30 minutes away, then, like, go do a couple dungeons or something. Like, whatever it is that you can do, like, go busy yourself. Like, don't just stand there at the world boss like a dummy. Like, if it takes you 15 minutes to run a dungeon, then at least run one dungeon before the world boss. Like, maybe you don't want to run a second one just in case you have a chance, you might miss the world boss. But 30 minutes is a long time, and you can do a lot of stuff in 30 minutes. We have a lot of runs that we do where literally we'll run a dungeon, and it takes us like 3 minutes to run a dungeon. You can potentially run 10 dungeons in the time it takes you to sit there and wait for a 30-minute world boss. Although, sometimes it's nice just to have a break. So, maybe you just got to go take a pee or a poo or something, maybe use that time while you're waiting on the world boss to just have a little bit of a break. Around 67-ish, like I said, the capstone, you're basically just going to do that capstone either as soon as you can, if you can handle it, or just around level 67. this is... I don't know why I have this twice. Gather ancestral gear worth using and start re-rolling it for best stats. So once you start getting your ancestral gear, your level 60, like 3 plus, like ancestral gear, you start getting, you know, like 725 plus ancestrals that are definitely going to be useful with good stats. Start re-rolling them, start trying to get the best stats on them. Start looking for those 820 items. Once you get your ancestral go, that's when you want to really start spending all of your currency that you've been saving up to gear out your character at this point. And this is also the point where you may want to move into an endgame build. So endgame builds are more along the lines of like a specific setup, like a Hota Barbarian is a endgame Barbarian, like that people like to make. You know, like there's a Toxic Claw Shred Druid and all that other stuff. And you can make some really nice endgame builds, but at this point you're going to be transitioning from those early leveling builds that you picked earlier to your endgame build, whatever it is that you're actually going to like make your character into. And this is of course because you're now re-rolling all your gear. So because you now have ancestral gear, because you can now actually get equipment that's worth using, you're going to re-roll that equipment into your endgame builds. And at this point, once you've got your endgame build set up, you start building your ancestral equipment. It's pretty much just a matter of clearing nightmare dungeons until you level up. There's no reason really to do anything more than +3 levels over your character, because that's the maximum EXP bonus that you can really get, and for the optimal killing speed. So, you know, like doing like a +10 or a +20 doesn't really help you level up faster because the monsters are a lot harder and they're not really giving you much more EXP than what you get at +3 levels. So +3 levels is going to get you the maximum EXP per dungeon, basically, because the dungeons are going to be quick, they're going to be easy, and you get a nice little EXP bonus for them being 3 levels higher than yourself. Now, granted, you can't always target exactly 3 levels above yourself, and that's perfectly fine. It's also very important that we talk about nightmare sigils. So there's going to be a lot of nightmare dungeon running, okay? But the thing is that sigils a lot of the times have some pretty nasty effects. They're actually really terrible. And do not be afraid to destroy a sigil that has like an absolutely terrible mod on it, because it's just going to slow you down. Destroy sigils with bad mods. There is no reason to hang on to these sigils with bad mods. You can get sigils relatively easy within Diablo 4. It does not take a very difficult... it's not very difficult at all. In fact, you can get them in World Tier 3, and we can throw this in here. So once you complete the World Tier 3 Capstone, you can go do the Whispering Tree. You can complete 1 Whispering Tree and get 1 cache. And the cache will have a sigil in it. And that can start your nightmare dungeons. So that Whispering Tree, your first sigil can come from the Whispering Tree. Honestly, the Whispering Tree doesn't really have good loot, and it's not really worth doing, but it is a very easy way to get your first nightmare sigil, which is important. And then lastly, I think we need to talk about the new dungeons and the Malignant Hearts. So what dungeons are you supposed to do? Like, I could give you guys a tier list of dungeons, but the truth is we don't know whether the tier list is going to change. On the 18th, they could rebalance all the dungeons. They've told us on a regular basis that they don't like the fact that we're farming specific dungeons over and over again, and they want us to farm all the dungeons. But we don't know what changes they're going to make. So the tier list that we have right now for dungeons could just simply be worthless on the 18th when they do the patch, and then it could be worthless again, you know, a couple days later when they do a subsequent patch to nerf some specific dungeon. But we have a bunch of new dungeons that are coming as well. These are with the Malignant Hearts, and the new dungeons may be better EXP than any of the dungeons that we have right now, so we're going to have to keep our eyes on that. Also, the Malignant Hearts is a new wild card that's being added to the game that is outside of the normal build processes. And these Malignant Hearts may be absolutely amazing to increase your journey through the game. So you're going to have to keep an eyeball out on these Malignant Hearts, and hopefully I will have a video on this as more information comes available. Maybe they will have a list of the Malignant Hearts that are available to be obtained within the game on the patch notes, and we can test them out there, but I don't particularly know. But as we go forward and we discover what these Malignant Hearts do, as we figure out, like, you know, are they really good utility? Do they help us restore resources? Can we make, like, builds around them? Do they give us really awesome, like, lightning effects or poison effects? Like, you know, is there very good defensive ones that can give us, like, high amounts of damage reduction, or giving us, you know, things like life on hit, or, you know, like life steal and things like that? I mean, who knows what exactly these Malignant Hearts can all do? We've only seen a couple of the examples of their powers so far. And as we go forward, we're definitely going to have to pay attention to these and utilize them to the best of our ability, because they very well could be game-changing effects that will make us a lot stronger or a lot more tanky in general. I think that's pretty much everything as far as Season 1 Prep Guide. Like I said, I will throw this down in the description of the video for you guys if you want to copy it down. And if you have any questions, feel free to ask me down in the comments. I'm always willing to answer. As always, I do appreciate you guys and gals watching my videos, even when we're just using going over a Season 1 Prep Guide. And as always, keep watching.